Hello and welcome to this video. My name is David Thorne. This is now the fifth part and the final part of the lesson 1 section of my Python for Beginners video tutorial series. Now in this one we're going to summarize it all with about an example of good quality comparison between good versus bad code in Python. Essentially the naming conventions of variables and functions and so on. We're talking about naming stuff now, and readability and descriptiveness and also complexity. This is the next thing, is that code might be shorter, right? You might save time on the execution of it, but you lose time on the development of it later when a junior developer or an apprentice or someone like that has to look at your code and understand what's going on. I mean, this code it's done it in like next to no lines whatsoever, and we could probably make it even shorter. And if we then execute this one code, you see super duper it works, right? It happens and it works. And we can see, hello, this is a simple string, and we say then the vowels in here, and it says, hey, they're at position 1, 4, 9, 12, 15, 18, 22, and 27. Function works, right? Why do we care that it knows what to do? I mean, the function's called s. Input s, chars, super duper, all works. This function works, right? And it probably took next to like 1 minute to write this function, but someone's got to know what it does, right? It doesn't have any description, nothing about it. So let's look how we could write it on the other extreme, right? Literally an apprentice needs to understand what your code does. So let's go over to the good version now. Now, as we see here, we got down to 43 lines now, rather than this one was at 18 lines. So let's start from the top. Let's scroll in a little bit or zoom in, and let's look. And we see here, custom function to search for specific occurrences of characters in a string. Okay, right, so it's a custom function to search for specific occurrences. So how many times each character occurs in a string. Right, and the arguments, we're going to take an input string, str, and the input string in which we want to find occurrences. So this is then our hello world string, and search characters, the characters to search for within the input string, super duper. And it's going to return a list of integers, all right? We haven't been through lists yet, but it's going to return which positions, all right? A list containing the positions. Oh, look, even our description helped you understand the positions, indices of matching characters in the input string. So even just the returns is kind of giving you an insight of it. And now we've got an example. Input underscore str is equal to hello. This is an example string, all right? Search characters, A-E-I-O-U, it's another string. So we don't have to care about collections or anything like that. It's just another string, search for it. And now the result of it, when we call custom underscore search underscore string, giving our input string and our search characters as the first and second arguments. We haven't been over this yet, but it should give you a good insight. Anyway, and then we're saying print, and we're saying print positions of matching strings is then our result. And we can see that it's going to print out this, all right? And then we've got more descriptions here. This function takes an input string. So we've got here the usage of it, and now the function goes into a description of it too, right? This function takes an input string and a set of characters to search for within that string. It returns a list of integer positions where the matching characters were found in the input string, right? I mean, you could make this even more detailed, but I think it's pretty detailed with an example as well. So it does explanation, it does demonstration, all right? So we now know custom string, we know what the input does, and it gives, and now we've got an insight to what a list is in Python as well, of an integer list. So we're now showing you what a function is. We're not going to get into the keywords and so on, but we see the function. And we see now that matches, this is going to be a list, right? And this is what it symbolizes. Initialize a list, but it tells you here already. This is a list to store the positions of the matching characters. Okay, matches, right? Well, that's good. So now iterate through each character in the input string. Right, well, we're going to loop, we're going to iterate through. We're not going to get into this. This is a for loop. This is the thing that's going to iterate through. And then we're going to say if this one character in the input string, so this is then 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, is in the search characters. So it means that is this character included? Is it contained in this search characters? And if it is, right, this would be then true, would then come to here. If it's false, it would continue on back to line 27 again. And so if it is inside this search characters, then we're going to say, hey, matches, you're a collection, you're a bag. Add this one indice, this one location to that one bag, right? And once you're finished going through all of the string, give me or return me back the matches, right? And we can see here we're doing basically exactly the same as what it says in the example. This is a sample string, and it comes back and it punches out, it spits out exactly the same thing. And we run it again, and we can see here it gives us exactly the same thing, right? This is an example. Let's just go a bit further out. In my opinion, if we get rid of the usage, right, and we put this down here like this, in my opinion, if you can fit a function or with its documentation on the screen, right, on the screen like, and this function description is a bit overkill, all right, but if you can fit this on the screen, so you essentially would still have this much space to write more code, right? This would be a good function. And as long as you document it, all of your variables and function names and everything like that are very, very clear and very, very concise. And anyone in the future, be it an apprentice or whoever, can understand your code without asking a single question and without having to have any brain freeze or anything like that, without having to look in Stack Overflow or anything whatsoever. If there's a function that you think someone's going to not understand, then at least give it this quick documentation. If there is a match, add the position to the list of matches, and then here initialize a list. So it's being informative what it is. And if you have all expert programmers in your team, you can literally dump all this comments. But if you are going to have newbies, apprentices and so on join your team, then you should start thinking about having as much documentation as possible, all right? Because you will waste your time in having to reteach, re-educate your apprentices for them to understand what your code does. And so you won't be able to have professional developers or lead developers writing code because your junior developers cannot even touch your code or even understand it, all right? So there's a fine line with how you write this code. Okay, let's just have a look at the bad one again. It does the same thing, but, you know, matches is here and so on. Matches.append, if it contains within inside of it here, it's doing the same stuff, all right? Anyway, with that said, I hope you've learned something from this one video. If it went too fast, I'm more than happy to make another one to explain it in even more slow time. If you want another example of this, feel free. Tell me the type of function or whatever that you want us to change to be good and bad, different practices and so on. Otherwise, if you've got anything to say about it and you think other people might be interested or might benefit from it, let's start a conversation in the comments down below, because I love chatting with you guys. It's super lots of fun. I'm holding my thumb up right now to say, hey, please give me a thumbs up. I'm giving you one right now. It really helps the channel and it really helps other people to find my videos to help them. So you're not liking it to give me feedback. You're liking it so the YouTube algorithm can give it to other people who like this content as well. All right. With that said, thank you very much for watching, and I will see you in the next video. Ciao, ciao. Goodbye.